I'm with you.
Well, someone go to the other side and see if it's there.
No, I don't think.
Well, I mean...
No, it was somewhere here.
There is
In this, no, in this.
Hey,
Where?
maybe
Here,
it's
where?
on the tree. Maybe. No.
Yeah, shake the fence together.
You see it?
No, I don't, but just try to shake the
How
fence. Yeah, let's shake the fence.
One, two, three.
Three, shake. I don't see anything yet.
It is the ball.
Our ball, give me. Nothing, يلا.
خلاص بيتهم. انت حارس طب ما في حدا حارس. تعال كمان. إذا رجع بوزة. شوف
We are talking about 763 checkpoints and barriers. And it is impossible. A trip that would usually take 45 minutes now would take about 9 hours to Hebrew. And you have to change the car sometimes as much as 11 times. I don't think many Israelis know that, do they?
No. The Israelis have a total ignorance of what life is here, what it all is.
So how can we find a way to have them know?
There is a complete and total ignorance, I think, on both sides.
It's terrible. Because knowledge is the beginning.
I think that the only hope is that contacts are created with people on both sides who are unhappy with the way things are now and the way things are going, and try and find a common ground.
Exactly.
There were about 70 or 80 young people from the Middle East, from the Arab countries and from Israel. And the first time when I walked on and I saw the orchestra, but as you were in the middle of a rehearsal, the thing that struck me was how, I mean, obviously all of them had come from not only different backgrounds, but from very complicated circumstances, I suppose. You know, I mean, some are middle class, some are working class, some are Arabic speaking, some are Christian, some are Muslim, some are obviously from Syria, from Jordan, and so on. But at the moment that they were playing, in a strange sort of way, their personal identities and histories sort of dropped away. They become sort of irrelevant. And what's relevant is what they're doing towards you.
Long and sustained. Ya pada. Long and sustained. D.
The idea of just getting together these people from different countries from the Middle East and sitting together, sharing stands, you know, music stands together, playing music, playing in harmony, so to speak, right? Through that common ground or common interest, there is, I think, a good chance for us to get into another topics and other ideas that we might not agree on, but at least we have a chance for dialogue.
What gave the impetus for the whole idea was Bernd Kaufmann, who was then the director of Weimar Cultural Capital of Europe 1999. And he came to see me to ask me whether I would help him do something about the music for Weimar Cultural Capital of Europe. From there, I started getting the idea that I wanted to do something that brought together Israelis and Palestinians, and in this case, of course, the other Arabs as well. So when it started, and when Edward and I started it, it was a total experiment. And it was very difficult because there's no relations between Syria and Israel. There were no relations between Lebanon and Israel. Cold peace between Israel and Egypt. And it was one had to be careful, not careful in the sense that something terrible might happen, but careful in the sense to see, curious and careful.
What has happened is that what I thought would have taken easily a 10, 15-year process, once Daniel got involved, it's like, how he does things very quickly, very masterfully, and a wonderful team came together fairly quickly. Many people made this possible, and I think this is what makes it so exciting.
So it's a very good experience. It's also adventurous in a way. You see, the musicians are learning so fast in this place. The first 2 days it was funny, people are playing differently, but now they are like a team. They're playing together, they understand more. See, the first day we sit down on the same desk. Now I know how he plays and he knows how the way I am. So we actually have some connection when we are on the same stand. But the first day, it wasn't like this. Now we understand each other more. So everything takes time in a way, and it will be better.
It is one of the best kept secrets, that there are so many talented Arab musicians. It is one of the best kept
It's one of the great catastrophes I'm sorry to say, of the Arab governments, that they don't try to do more with these young people, because there's really, there's lots of talent. I have a feeling, by the way, I don't know, but I have a feeling that with the group we have here, we were scratching the surface. I mean, there must be...
I am sure.
That feeling?
I'm convinced that you could really make an absolutely first-class Middle Eastern orchestra. Convinced.
Keep always going. Italy.
His ability to communicate with a student orchestra was really surprising. I thought it's an incredible musician who's used to the Chicago Symphony, to the Berlin Philharmonic, and I was really nervous how will he react to the orchestra. I was not sure how he will deal with it. but his patience and his insistence and his dedication to every little detail and not giving up really inspired everybody here beyond belief.
He was stopping at every particular bar, every particular dynamic, and he was teaching us how to play it, you know? And that's, you don't get this every time, because he's actually treating us very much like any professional orchestra at a very high level, very, very high. He's expecting from us the sound of Berlin Philharmonic. It's very hard.
All of you playing long values are getting heavier and stop. All of you playing long values are getting heavier and slowing the whole thing down. You must keep going. This get all.
It's a very unique event. I don't think there has been such an event before, not to my knowledge. Each of us got the opportunity to work with amazing musicians such as Mr. Barenboim and Mr. Ma also. And for me personally, it was important to get to know individually people from countries I have no access to, such as Syria, for example, simply because there is no contact between the countries. I mean, if you want to call somebody, you can't, you know? It's pretty hard to perceive, but it's true. And I must say that it gave me important perspective on the situation, being able to hear the opinions of individual people and not just the media that manipulates what we're supposed to think, you know. And I think that's an important basis for every piece, communication between the people and not just the governments.
I think they should continue this tradition and make this workshop every year, you know, because I'm sure that they started just very, very, very good tradition, because it is the first time, and they must continue it. Even I'm sure in 2 maybe or 3 years there will be peace between Israel and all the Arab countries. Even in this case, we have to continue to make these workshops and just to bring people together.
So this kind of workshop, I mean, this could also be a workshop for theater actors, let's say.
Stop! I said there is no such a thing. Talk about peace, please. Music, is that possible? Music?
Why?
No, don't. I don't participate.
No.
Come on. Hey.
Oh.
Come on.
I think it's terribly important for you to understand that A, there are 20% of your population in Israel who are not Jews, and therefore are citizens of a state that is defined as a Jewish state, although they are there as non-Jews, and this poses a real problem for democracy. And it's certainly not only the problem of Israel. I mean, there are many countries in the Arab world and elsewhere that have similar citizenship problems and problems of immigrants, like in Germany. But I think it has to be dealt with squarely and faced. In 10 years, there's going to be demographic parity between Arabs and Jews inside the land that Israel today controls. What then? What do? Drive them out? Neither side can drive out the other. And I think the question of identity has to be posed in terms of the future. That is to say, how do you deal with other identities who also feel that they have a place in that very place. Given that we're not talking about Canada now, we're not talking about the United States, we're not talking about China, we're talking about a basically very small place whose problematic is that it's a very small place with an enormous number of histories going on there. And I think the earlier we try to think about how identities can maintain themselves in a place which is relatively small and crowded, but also has a history there, that's, I think, the way we have to go.
Shall we play?
Now you play.
I guess so.
Tomorrow we have in the afternoon a trip planned, which is, I think one should go to it, namely a trip to the ex-concentration camp of Buchenwald, which is a few kilometers away. Actually, you can see the tower from the road as you're going down towards Weimar. So I hope you have a chance to go tomorrow, and then tomorrow evening we have another discussion and can maybe discuss it then.
Many of us, the people who come from Israel, felt that coming to Germany was a more intense conflict than talking to people from Syria, let's say. Because there is no question that the vast majority of people in Israel are seeking peace with Syria in the nearest future. On the other hand, this is something that already happened, and now we have to deal with it. It's actually something from the past that lies, in all of us, in one way or another. And so, I mean, it really shows you what kind of atmosphere that we are working in, because, it's not so simple.
There was one Arab kid who came after we walked through the ovens, the crematorium. Came to me, and the face was shaking from
what he had seen.
And he took my arm strongly, and he said to me, he says, you know what I've just thought? He says, if we had all lived here, you, whom we respect so much, and all of us, Arab and Jewish musicians, we would all have ended here. Right. In other words, he had to see this terrible crematorium to see that in the way how close the Jews and the Arabs were as a Semitic race, and that the term anti-Semitism in the end, at least, applies to them too.
Of course, yeah.
I was the youngest in '99, and still, as a 10-year-old, I was pretty naive. Israelis to me were something that's not human even. This is how I perceived it as a young boy, and it's something that isn't to be dealt with, something that should be isolated, because the only side we saw in Jordan is that of killing, of massacring even, of extreme brutality. That's the only thing I saw of Israelis. And for me to actually meet people and have the same interests as me and lead relatively similar lives, it changed my view of what a human being is almost.
Bravo. Bravo. But that's enough for Celerando, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
For me, I have to say this at the risk of embarrassing Daniel. One of the reasons for our friendship, I mean, he's an Israeli and I'm a Palestinian. But Daniel is one of the, I mean, you all know he's a great musician, I don't have to tell you this, but one of the rare things about him is that he's a person who can understand and experience the suffering of others and is willing to make the effort to do that. It's very, very hard to do, especially if you feel, as so many of us do, vulnerable and defensive and say, well, what about me? What about my suffering? I mean, who is looking after me? Suffering is, in my opinion, the monopoly of no one. But I think that experience would be incomplete without recognizing the trail of hatred and hostility and sadness which a place like Buchenwald, next to Weimar, has produced. But what is, I think, possible for each of us is to understand that we can do something about suffering, A, by understanding and acknowledging that it took place, and B, by our capacity as citizens, as musicians, as people who think, to make sure that it's lessened, that there's less of it.
I think a very important point is that it, in one stroke, did away for these people with the empty cliches that run around on both sides. When they heard Muhammad, the first oboe, play the Beethoven 7th, all the Israelis, I could see that, Not only was it humanly touching to see that they obviously wanted him to play well because he was part of the same group that they were playing in, but they were full of admiration that a boy from Egypt, nobody in his right mind in Israel would associate Egyptian people with oboe players playing the 7th Beethoven.
It's pretty surrealistic, actually.
It is really, and you could see that, and this is very important.
Yeah. But their lives have changed. There's no question about it. That whatever happened, they will not think the same way. Neither about music nor about anything else, in my opinion. So in that sense, music is a bit subversive.
Yes, of course it is.
At the same time that it seems harmless.
I'm not sure about what I heard, but I heard that this particular masterclass will be moving around the world. You know, so it won't be only, it will have the Weimar title, you see, but it won't be in Weimar, it might be in Paris, you see, it might be in anywhere. So it's actually, we hope it will be a first step for many.
Hello.
How are you?
Good to see you. I'm
And
so
you?
glad you made it.
I'm glad too.
It's wonderful.
Hello.
Hassan,
How
nice
are
to
you?
meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We're very happy that you're here.
Thank you very much.
Great. Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you.
I'm not a politician and I have no political ambitions and no political know-how, but I feel very strongly about everything that is happening in the region for so many years now. And I'm also very curious by nature. And this is why I came. I came, in fact, on the one hand, to stretch a hand and to play a little music, because this is what I can do. And on the other hand, to try and learn something and to see for myself.
This is just an example of the damage. In the old city of Nablus, it's very badly damaged, and it's a very historical architectural place, more than 1,000 years old. The damage is terrible. I was in Jenin 2 weeks ago. The camp also is in very bad shape, so... Okay. Let's go to the camp.
When I started going and working in Palestine, I did not imagine that there would be such immediate and such enthusiastic response. They have shown me so much affection and so much thirst for music, which is just wonderful.
احنا فخورين جدا بانه مجيئه اليوم وعزفه في مدرسة الفرنس هو كسر للحصار المفروض علينا، كسر للاحتلال وكسر للحصار، وتأكيد على أن رسالة الموسيقى هي رسالة سلام ورسالة تصل بين الشعوب. وكمان أنا بحب أشيد هون وأهني دانيال وأهني أنفسنا بالجائزة اللي حصل عليها، الجائزة المشتركة اللي حصل عليها مع الدكتور إدوارد سعيد، اللي بنفتخر فيه كفلسطيني باسل مبدع حقق الكثير لبلده. اثنين حصلوا على جائزة مشتركة. فشكرا لحضوركم وشكرا لدانيال وشكرا لمن عمل جهد من أجل أن تنجح.
One of the things that touched me the most was a young girl who came, and then I asked, "Are you happy? Are you here? You want me to come back?" "Oh yes, I'm very glad and very happy you came." And I said, "Why?" And she said to me, "You are the first thing," I remember the word, "you are the first thing that comes from Israel that I see that is not a soldier or a tank." You know? For that, it's worth going there. You play violin too?
Yeah,
And do you have good teachers?
Yeah, Clara.
Clara, oh yeah.
So,
Maestro, why is it important for you to meet the people here, for you to be here?
You know, some people have to make politics. I'm not a politician, I don't make politics. I think what I can do is bring music to them and listen to them and maybe thereby reduce, at least for a short time, the level of hatred. For me, that's important. I hope it's for them too. Huh?
Yeah.
You understand what I say?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm very pleased to see you all here.
אתה ודאי שמעת על הפיגוע שהתרחש ביום ראשון. לשיטתך, חינוך מוזיקלי יכול להיות וילד פלסטיני שעומדות בפניו כמה ברירות, או לזרוק אבנים, או לגדול ולהיות שהיד. חינוך מוזיקלי אולי ישנה את העתיד שלו?
אני חושש שלא. הייתי מקווה שכן. העניין הוא לתת להם משהו ייתן תוכן לחיים שלהם, שהם לא ירצו להפסיד. וזה מה שחסר, ואני חושב שחיים בלי מוזיקה הם פשוט חיים יותר דלים. אי אפשר לצפות שבגלל זה לא. אבל על כל פנים, גם מבחינת חלוקת הזמן, ברגע שילדים הולכים 3 או 4 פעמים בשבוע לשיעור כינור או צ'לו, זה לפחות מספר שעות שהם לא עוסקים במחשבה קיצונית. וכשאני מנגן שם, כשניגנתי, אני הרגשתי חזק מאוד, ואני הרגשתי אחרי לפחות לשעתיים האלה, הצלחתי, עם המוזיקה כמובן, הצלחתי להוריד את הרמה של שנאה לאפס. רק ל-400 איש, ורק לשעתיים. אולי הם יצאו משם והיה משהו אחר. זה הכל. זה לא הרבה, זה מעט מאוד. אבל זה כל מה שאני יכול לעשות.
I don't know where my hope comes from. But I have a sense that actually because it's so painful now, that at some point people will just be sick of it, and the kind of escalation in the pain that will result to such a reality that people just can't anymore. But I thought we arrived at this point already a year ago, and still we are going the downwards path. So I really don't know. I think I have hope in new generation of politicians and new generations in general.
Karim, you have a problem with the first notes always. Ya-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, pa-pa. And for this, when you play... That's perfect. Okay? Play once more from the beginning. Forte sustain, no? Georges. Forte. Sans diminuendo. Pi, pa. And you're playing inside the forte chord. That's why you have to play a little bit more. Pa, pa. You know, they're holding until here. Wenn ich den kleinen Karim am Klavier sehe, aus Jordanien, ein Palästinenser aus Jordanien, und Inbal aus Israel am Cello sehe, das ist für mich eine unglaubliche Freude. Und Georges auf der Geige aus Libanon, das ist schon für mich ein Geschenk.
We have people coming from the West and people coming from the East and playing music which is universal. That we all agree about. And where do we do it? We do it in southern Spain, which is the only place it ever really worked in history. You know, the 10th, 11th centuries here was in a way what we are all looking for.
Hier ist es vorgelebt worden, ein friedliches Zusammenleben der Kulturen. Und hier muss man versuchen, auch diese Ideen gerade für heute wieder neu zu beleben. Es muss eine Renaissance geben, eigentlich auch der Ideen dieser Philosophen, aus dem 9., 10., 11. Jahrhundert, die hier gelebt haben. Das waren eben vor allen Dingen die Moslems, es waren jüdische Philosophen und es war der spanische König Alfonso X., der gesagt hat, haltet mir, bewahrt mir diese Toleranz untereinander und bewahrt mir diese Liberalität, auch im Umgang mit anderen Meinungen.
Wir waren in Cordoba, wir haben das alles wirklich gesehen, wie die drei Kulturen hier zu Hause waren und sind. Und deswegen auch die Mitwirkenden, wir haben ja immer auch Lokaltalent mit uns. Und die Spanier sind natürlich viel freier mit den Arabern und den Israelis, weil sie spüren, dass das ihre eigene Kultur auch ist. Whatever you expect me to do for it, but play the full bow. Play the full. I will bring you flowers. I will take you to dinner. I will take you dancing. I will do whatever you like, but please play the full bow. And die Lage im Nahen Osten ist natürlich schlechter als im 99 waren, noch viel mehr Hoffnungen. Das Jahr war da ja vor der zweiten Intifada. Das macht es auf der einen Seite schwer für die Jungs zu kommen, auch innerlich. Und es tut denen bestimmt weh. Es tut den Israelis, die wissen von Bekannten oder Familien, die vom Selbstmordattentaten gelitten haben. Es tut denen weh, mit Arabern zu sitzen. Und es tut der Araber auch weh, zu wissen, dass da sitzen Israelis, die das alles bombardiert haben, und in Jenin und Ramallah und alles, was dort passiert ist und so. Andererseits, die wirklich ein Bewusstsein von der Problematik haben, kommen umso mehr jetzt, weil die sehen das praktisch als etwas, das nur hier existiert. To deal with because they're not going to get anywhere. And the same is true on the other side too. And I think that the dialogue is very important because if you have a dialogue, it doesn't mean that you accept the other's point of view. It means that you have a chance, you have a forum to express your point of view. But I have not a great sympathy for the word tolerance. Because tolerance for me smells of something that you accept somebody although they are less good or less intelligent or less beautiful or less.
It's
tolerance
different.
is not. Yeah, but
we're not being told what to think and how to express ourselves. No, somebody who doesn't like to talk about politics simply says nothing, and the others can carry on discussing the history of the Middle East until the morning.
It's absolutely nothing is forced, nothing is planned, or simply it would be artificial not to talk about politics. It's such a central part of our lives.
I mean, it's not the main part. You know, we don't do it during rehearsals. But obviously you want to do it. You have the curiosity to see what they think, how they think.
What is astonishing for me is that we come from a situation that is so complex. We know where we come from. We don't come here to pretend that, you know, we're so happy, it's a happy land and there's nothing wrong. It's not this. We come here in spite of the fact that there's something wrong. This is why we come. And therefore we have to be here prepared to deal with these things that we deal with in our, back home. It's not that we spend here 4 years detached from reality. It's not this. We really, have to be ready to deal with all these kind of things.
Eines Tages müssen wir ja in der Lage sein, in den Ländern zu spielen, die hier repräsentiert sind. Das ist noch unmöglich, aber unmöglich heißt nicht unmachbar. Und wenn wir eines Tages in Jerusalem und in Kairo und in Ramallah und ich hoffe in Damaskus spielen könnten, dann wird die Bevölkerung in alle diese Länder sehen, dass es möglich ist, miteinander zu leben und dass es gibt Leidenschaften, positive Leidenschaften, die Israelis und Araber teilen können.
Premio Príncipe de Asturias de la Concordia, porque con independencia de su destacada proyección artística e intelectual, realizan a favor de la convivencia y de la paz una generosa y ejemplar tarea que, simbolizada en la colaboración de jóvenes músicos, fomenta el diálogo y la reflexión. El jurado ha concedido el galardón al excelentísimo señor Daniel Barenboim.
Edward was very moved by the fact that this great prize was in Spain. He saw the connection between the Middle East and Andalusia, I think, very, very clearly.
Y al excelentísimo señor Edward Said.
This is why when the question arose about whether we should not settle in Sevilla permanently, he fought for it very strongly, because he believed in it very strongly, that there was a reason for being in Sevilla. Weimar was unique and wonderful, but it belonged in Sevilla.
Spain's Islamic, Judaic, and Christian histories together provide a model for the coexistence of traditions and beliefs. As a Palestinian born in Jerusalem, my national history and the society of my forebears was shattered in 1948 when Israel was established. Since that time, the better part of my own life, I have participated in the struggle not just to bring justice and restitution to my people, but also to keep the hope for self-determination alive. I should like to pay tribute to Daniel Barenboim, whose great musicianship has been offered as a gesture of the highest form of human solidarity to Palestinians and other Arabs. Strange though it may seem, it is culture generally, and music in particular, that provide an alternative model for the conflict of identities. My friend Daniel Barenboim and I have chosen this course for humanistic rather than political reasons, on the assumption that ignorance is not a strategy for sustainable survival. Discipline and dedication have provided us with the motor to bring our communities together in concert, without illusion and without abandoning our principles. What is so heartening is how many young people have responded, and how, even in this most difficult time, young Palestinians have chosen to study music, learn an instrument, practice their art. Who knows how far we will go and whose minds we might change.
Edward was a symbol of Palestinian dignity, of Palestinian intelligence, of Palestinian culture, ambition, of Palestinian nationalism, patriotism, everything, you know. All the Arabs somehow saw Edward as everything they all together could maybe one day become. They saw that in the one person. Edward had that very unique quality of having moral authority. His death for me was a catastrophe on every possible level. First of all, on a human level, because he was my closest friend. He had become a necessity for me as a friend. There was hardly a day that we didn't speak on the phone, regardless where I was or where he was. Edward's loss for me was also a terrible loss of intellectual stimulus. I don't have that kind of intellectual stimulus I had from him, from anybody else, with the added advantage that he was a musician as well. Edward's loss was also a catastrophe for the project, because West-Eastern Divan, if you want, needs one from each side, as it were. And sometimes I think if Edward is not here, this is maybe a very bad omen for those of us who think that the two-state solution is the only solution, and now I'm left alone with this thing. It's very frightening.
A few weeks before Edward passed away, we were in Rabat and playing the first concert in an Arabic country. Some of the Israeli guys were first time in an Arabic land, in an Arabic country, and they didn't know what to expect. They had no idea what to expect. And all of a sudden, this Arabic country that is totally different aesthetic, totally different architecture, different, but still is so full of wealth and beauty and so on. And that was, I think, a big shock. It's not what Israelis expect from Arabic countries. That was a nice surprise.
What worries me so much is the distorted image. The media is spreading around all the time about the Arab and Muslim world. And the only thing we can do really about it is to try to get out of this shell we've been living in for so long and just show the world what we have got, you know, to do what we really are, because you can't just sit anymore at home and let those great powers just tell their own version of the stories and of history.
I want this orchestra to be as standard like any orchestra, let's say in Germany or in Europe. And I want to perform in all the Middle East countries. And I hope the people can accept this. I mean, some people can really give us a chance to go and show them how we are very succeeded more than governments. For example, I have my friend, her name is Capello, plays the viola. We just were talking together last year, and we found out that my father and her father were in the same war against each other. Can you believe this? And we are just more than brother and sister right now.
Because that first experience was so successful and so smooth, nothing went wrong, I think that broke the first resistance to going to Arabic countries, and I think that will open the door for the future visits. I think that was important.
It was really overall wonderful experience. I'm very happy that we could go, really. I hope we can go to more Arabic countries very soon.
We have to. We must do it.
And it's really, I think we really have to praise Mr. Barenboim's courage.
Yes.
Really, it's very important for us because I think all of us now feel how it is not only important but really necessary for an artist to be committed to humanity, to be interested in what's happening. You know, the fact that he goes to Ramallah and he defies all laws and rules and he puts his own life in danger just to go and play for Palestinians, teach, whatever. I think everybody is becoming really interested in the other.
I was walking down the street yesterday morning, going for lunch to somebody's house for lunch, and the woman in the street recognized me. And she took both my hands in hers and she said to me, she says, "Thank you for coming." That's all. You know, I thought in Ramallah, you know, we have this idea that nobody is cultured there. That's not true. I mean, in Israel, people think that all Palestinians are plumbers or car mechanics at best. It's a mixture of this old colonial idea of the third world. And I notice when I speak to Israelis about this whole thing, they, you know, this is like I'm crazy. And I feel in many ways very privileged that I can have contacts there as well.
How old is it?
The man who runs the conservatory, Suhail Khouri, said, you know, we dreamt about this Palestinian orchestra, but we can't, etc. I said, look, we will do it. I will help you and we will do it. And I spoke to Edward Said, who was still alive in New York, and I said, we must do something. Yeah, yes. And so I went in a press conference in Ramallah last August, and I said, I will do everything in my power. Within 5 years, you will have a Palestinian youth orchestra. We sent 5 teachers from Germany and from Austria who teach, and never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, 8 months after uttering a sort of spontaneous word in a press conference, that we would get 35 children, and they played.
I started playing violin when I was 6 years old. And we, till now, but it wasn't like constant, yeah. We had 2 years, no teachers, and some, not good teachers. It was difficult, very difficult for us. With the Intifada and everything, it was very horrible. So, and this year, from the Barenboim Side Foundation, they sent some teachers to teach in Ramallah. So we have a teacher now, and hopefully she will stay.
Good afternoon. Hello, how are you?
It started, from just maybe 6 players. We started, but then it started to get bigger, calling people from Bethlehem and these things, and it became bigger and bigger.
1, 2, 3. Yep, pop, pam, where it's heavy. Yep, pop, pam. You don't need to do too much bow for that. Okay? Number 2. And it's by no means the perfect orchestra. It's by no means even a good orchestra. They are the first to know that. But what it did for their self-esteem, what it did for their dignity, this is the best arm against the stupid humiliation that they are subjected to daily. That violence is unacceptable, is obvious, I think. But this kind of collective punishment by humiliating human beings, children and grown-ups, this is the most stupid and short-sighted policy that one can have. And unfortunately, this is what is happening. Very good. Very good. Everybody, wonderful. Next time I will come and spend a few days here, then we can do more things together. Huh?
You created a life here.
No, listen. You do that. I don't create a life. I can only help you. But you do the life. What you do? Some of the Palestinian youngsters have been coming to Sevilla and having lessons and watching the workshop as observer. But Time, the girl who played also in the orchestra in Ramallah, made so much progress this last summer that she asked to play one movement of the Tchaikovsky symphony in the rehearsals of course, yes, and then the other one, etc., etc., etc. At the end, she played the whole symphony, and then she wanted to come on the tour. So I hope that there will people like her will continue to come and that there will be more of them in the orchestra.
Well, we are going now to the western side of Ramallah because I want to show you the site of Bitunia where the army is building a huge wall. So basically, I will show you how this city is becoming a prison, surrounded by the wall almost from all directions. The north, of course, is blocked, as you can see, by Beit El and the settlement.
It's one of the major problems between Palestinians and Israelis, that everybody is surrounded with his own world. He's enveloped with his own world.
With his own ideas.
And so we know nothing about them, almost. And they know nothing about us. There's no contact. And we, whether we like it or not, we're gonna stay living, you know, next to each other for a very long time, and even for forever, maybe. So we have to get to, you know, to have contact with each other. I think we should start to learn how to live together. I mean, we have to break the wall that is in our minds, and we have to start to understand each other.
See the wall? This is part of the wall. It's not built yet as a cement, but this is how it goes. A road and an area that is cleaned, and then the wall itself, two sheiks.
So what side will be what?
كيف الجهة الفلسطينية وكيف ايش بفصل؟
هذا يعني هذا كل الجهتين، هذه فلسطينية وهذه فلسطينية. هنا سجن بتونيا.
بس كيف هذول هون بدهم يسكروا على رام الله.
سكروا على رام الله. خلاص هذا نقطة.
This is the side of Ramallah. Nobody can cross this. And this will be blocked from here for us.
But I thought that when the wall was there was also to make room for an Israeli area.
There is no Israeli area here.
All these lands is Palestinian. All these lands is Palestinian.
And here also?
Yes, of course.
So
also.
Why do you need the wall here?
To confiscate land. That's what we've been saying. It's not a wall for security. It's a wall it's not between Palestinian and Israeli areas, it's between Palestinian and Palestinian areas.
And they will confiscate land for Israel?
Anything beyond this wall will not be accessible to people here.
I sit sometimes with the orchestra beside an Israeli girl. Her name is Tal. My name is Tala. Her name is Tal. You know, there's no wall between us, you know, and she, when I make something wrong, you know, she marks it and she tells me, oh, you need to shift here or something. You know, and there's nothing between us. We're just like human beings. We're sisters, you know, and there's no wall. But when we go back, you know, it's just, and in the 1st of September of this year, you know, the wall will finish, you know, and it would be all ready and this thing. So, you know, I'm really worried, you know, every Palestinian country will be just surrounded with this wall. It's like a big prison. I don't know if I can get out after that from, you know, my country.
with this wall, it will take another
to make it even
100 million years.
With the wall?
With the wall also. It makes the problem much bigger.
Longer, not
much longer.
No, it's so hard to
It will take 100
to
years
decide
more.
if it's good or bad. I tell you, honestly.
Because you know Palestinians, this wall they can't jump over the.
They will find a way.
They can make an airplane and go over the wall. It's not, the wall will not protect, but it makes it more longer, more and more.
Imagine that you live in Israel and how you can protect yourself.
By make real things to. For example, there's a lot of places I know that everybody go out now. The Arabs go outside. So maybe if the discussion will not work. I don't know, but it's not.
You see?
But it's not the war. But
you see,
okay.
you can't
I
say.
can't, but it's not the war. Of course, it's not.
And of course,
For me, when I came here, it's just for music.
Of course,
To play with Mr. Daniel Barenboim and to see how. But it's a good idea because now I know how you think, how you.
Yeah, you break this wall. You break the ice between.
It's a good
of
idea.
course, we can. We know each other more, and we learn about each other. That's the really good thing. For example, with Nasib.
He's a bad one, you don't know.
I didn't know nothing about Lebanon, and now he told me.
בכל אופן, זאת כבר הפעם השלישית שאתה מגיע לארץ עם עדים של שערורייה, של מחלוקת.
תסלח לי, את השערורייה ואת המחלוקת עושים בארץ, אני לא מביא אותה. אל תשים דברים בפי, כי אני לא אומר את זה. אני לא בא לעשות שערורייה, אני בא לעשות דברים שאני חושב לנכון. אני חושב לנכון שצריך למצוא אפשרות לתת לנוער להתקדם במוזיקה. אני חושב שהחינוך המוזיקלי דל, אני חושב לא רק במדינת ישראל, ובוודאי לא רק בשטחים, וזה חשוב לעשות זה. ולכן אני בא ואני עושה את זה, גם פה וגם ברמאללה, כי זה לא הזכות של עם אחד או של מדינה אחת שיש לה זכות שיהיה להם כוחות מוזיקליים.
מה אתה אומר למי שבאמת מזמין אותך בשם האיזון, כשאתה הולך לנגן ברמאללה, לבוא ולנגן גם בהתנחלות או
תסלח לי, אני אף פעם לא האמנתי שזה תפקיד של מדינת ישראל להיות כובש. אנחנו יושבים שם בשטחים שלא שייכים אלינו. איך אתה יכול לשים את זה? זה לא איזון.
לא תופיע בהתנחלויות?
אה?
לא תופיע שם?
בוודאי שלא. בוודאי שלא, אני לא רואה אני רואה את ההתנחלויות כסרטן בכל הפרוצס הזה. אין לנו מה לחפש שם. אין לנו מה לחפש שם.
So you didn't speak in the end, huh?
No, there was no need. Music is more than enough. Tomorrow I will speak in the Knesset, and I will not play.
ועתה אל הפרס באומנות בתחום המוסיקה. דניאל ברנבוים, בית האופרה הממלכתית ברלין, גרמניה, והתזמורת הסימפונית שיקגו, ארצות הברית. כאדם בעל מחויבויות מוסיקליות ואנושיות עמוקות, שזכה למעמד של אחד מגדולי המוסיקאים בני ימינו. אתכבד להזמין את דניאל ברנבוים לקבל את הפרס מידי נשיא המדינה. בבקשה. מילות תשובה מפי דניאל ברנבוים.
כבוד נשיא המדינה, שרת החינוך והתרבות, ממלא מקום יושב ראש הכנסת, נאמני קרן וולף, קהל נכבד. בשנת 1952, בהיותי בן 10, 4 שנים לאחר ההכרזה על הקמת מדינת ישראל, עלינו הוריי ואנוכי ארצה. הכרזת העצמאות הייתה למקור השראה לאידיאלים שעשו אותנו, היהודים, לישראלים. מגילת העצמאות כללה את ההתחייבות, וברשותכם אני מצטט. מדינת ישראל תשקוד על פיתוח הארץ לטובת כל תושביה. תהא משוטטת על יסודות החירות, הצדק והשלום לאור חזונם של נביאי ישראל. תקיים שוויון זכויות חברתי ומדיני גמור לכל אזרח, בלי הבדל דת, גזע ומין. תבטיח חופש דת, מצפון, לשון, חינוך ותרבות. סוף ציטוט. התחומים על מגילת העצמאות התחייבו גם בשם כולנו להושיט, ואני שוב מצטט, יד לשלום ושכנות טובה לכל המדינות השכנות ועמיהן. סוף ציטוט. ואני שואל היום, בכאב הבוקע מליבי, האם מצב של כיבוש ושליטה בעם אחר מתיישב עם מגילת העצמאות? האם יש היגיון בעצמאותו של עם אחד במחיר הפגיעה בזכויות היסוד של עם אחר. האם העם היהודי, עם שההיסטוריה שלו רצופה סבל ורדיפות, יכול להרשות לעצמו להיות אדיש לזכויותיו ולסבלו של עם שכן? האם מדינת ישראל יכולה להרשות לעצמה חלום בלתי מציאותי שפירושו שאיפה לסיום אידיאולוגי של הסכסוך במקום לשאוף לסיום פרגמטי והומניטרי, סיום המבוסס על צדק חברתי? מאז ומתמיד האמנתי שאין פתרון צבאי לסכסוך היהודי-ערבי, לא מבחינה מוסרית ולא מבחינה אסטרטגית. ולכן, מאחר שברור שפתרון כלשהו אחר חייב להימצא, מדוע עליי לחכות עד שימצא? מסיבה זו, הקמתי יחד עם ידידי המנוח יהודה סעיד סדנה מוזיקלית בה משתתפים יחדיו צעירים מכל ארצות המזרח התיכון, יהודים וערבים. בתור שכזו יכולה המוזיקה להביא את הרגש והדמיון של הישראלים והפלסטינים למקומות שלא שיערנו אותם. לפיכך, החלטתי לתרום את סכום הפרס לפעולות של חינוך מוסיקלי, הן בישראל והן ברמאללה. אני מודה לכם.
כיושבת ראש קרן וולף, אני רוצה להביע את צערי על כך שמר ברנבוים בחר את הזירה הזאת, את הבמה הזאת, כדי לתקוף את מדינת ישראל. אני רוצה כאן לציין, אני מבקשת, אני מציעה, בואו ננהג, גם אלה שלא מסכימים לעמדתי. אני מציעה לנהוג באופן תרבותי. אני רוצה כאן להדגיש, ההחלטה להשתתף בטקס הזה ולתת לדניאל ברנבוים את הפרס כאן היום לא הייתה קלה. אני מרשה לעצמי להגיד, לא רק לי. אני יכולתי לנהוג כיושב ראש הכנסת שבחר לא להיות כאן, חשבתי שזה לא נכון יהיה. חשבתי שנוכל לנהל את הטקס הזה באופן תרבותי, לא מטריס ולא פוגע. כיבדתי את החלטת ועדת הפרס. אני מצפה שכולם יכבדו גם את המעמד הזה. צר לי שדניאל ברנבוים בחר אחרת.
כן. אני מקווה שתרשו לי.
אנחנו חותמים.
אני מבקש מכם לא יותר מדקה אחת. אני רוצה להודות לשרת החינוך שהיא באמת הזכירה שיש כאן חופש גמור. העובדה היא שניתנה לי גם האפשרות להגיד את הדברים שאמרתי. אני רק מבקש להסביר שאני לא התקפתי את מדינת ישראל, אני הרשיתי לעצמי לקרות ממגילת הכרזת העצמאות ולשאול שאלות רטוריות. זכותך, גברת שרת החינוך, לתת תשובות אחרות. תודה.
This is the design of the gate of Auschwitz, and I held it up after Mr. Barenboim, instead of talking about the arts, he made a political speech. The idea that you can completely ignore the political situation here and think that you could make peace with people who want to kill you. I mean, who kill you every day. I mean, you don't make peace with people who kill you. You make war with them. the Arab nation, the Islamic world is attempting to destroy Israel as an independent Jewish state. And he's a party to helping that process.
Okay, ready? With the head inside.
Ready? 1, 2, go!
3. Somebody died? No, he didn't die.
Why? Please, just the cellos, the last bar, just the last bar. 3, 4. No, that's too fast. No, that's too fast. Tam, pam, pam, pam. And yum, pam, 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 pam. It's simple. It's much less rubato than you think.
After the general rehearsal in Sevilla, Maestro Barenboim literally dropped a bomb and announced the intention, his wish, that we also go to Ramallah.
Listen. I'm speaking now only about the military, the people who are in the military service. Now, I'm not talking about personal fear or not. This is another question, and we will deal with that. I'm talking about the legality of the impossibility of doing it.
Die spanische Regierung, der Zapatero, der Ministerpräsident, hat Daniel Barenboim angeboten, den Musikern spanische diplomatische Pässe zu geben, um einfach mal diese Situation an der Grenze zu überwinden.
Mr. Gonzalez is asking if the Spanish government can get the authorization, if all the paperwork is absolutely okay, you have the authorization. Are you willing to go or not? Yeah. Huh? You, yes. Who is not willing to go? Huh?
Maybe.
Pardon?
I'm not saying that I'm not afraid to go there, but I have certain trust that if they will organize that, they won't leave us not secured. I mean, it's a whole procedure to organize something like this. It takes a lot of time.
Das ist ein Schritt, das muss jetzt jeder, also ein Denkprozess, den muss jetzt jeder Einzelne für sich erstmal durchmachen. Da gibt es viele Hunderte von Gesprächen und da muss man den Musikern auch die Chance geben, so ein bisschen nachzudenken, tief durchzuatmen und sich das auch mal bildhaft vorzustellen.
We talked 3 days about this issue without any results. I think many people were quite afraid. You always have this fear, but I think what we all know is that nowhere in the world is right now safe. And since it's so important to do, I believe most people will find their way to come and play there.
Imagine an orchestra with Arabs, Israelis, Palestinians, Spanish. This wonderful group of international people, having them play exactly in the center of the conflict. I am sure this will have a fantastic effect, spreading hope like sun spreads light.
Unfortunately, we could not go because of security reasons. But I think what's more important than going was that process, that argument caused many people to question a lot of things, and they had to overcome a lot of things, a lot of fears, a lot of misconceptions. And that leads us to the future, that leads us for the coming years.
I hope one day it will be possible. I really want to go. I really want to have the concert also in Ramallah. I think it's important. It's everything that is not usual. You know, a part of the day is important. If you can do something for humanity, one small thing, it's part of the ideal of the orchestra, and you need to make it happen. You can't just sit on the side and say, okay, it will, it won't. You need to tell your opinion and do it.
لا هي
ويني انا ارجع
ايوه فوق ابو الفيد
راس بارنبويم ما بعرف على كل نوصل هذه الصوره شايف
شوف نديم ايه حلوه الصوره روان هو دائما هيك لازم
عم صفر شو
زبرزدار
ودانا
هي طلباتهم يعني ما لي علاقه
وانا ليش ما نفذت لي طلباتي؟
In Wiesbaden, our last concert in Europe, this concert in Ramallah was still not 100% sure. People were still hesitated about going there.
There were like conflict amongst the orchestra members, whether the Arabs will come to Ramallah and the Israelis will come to Ramallah and so on. So it has been like a last moment decision.
It was uneasy. I mean, the whole atmosphere was tensed because some people were scared, some people were still unsure. I mean, I think until the Wiesbaden concert, we still, it was lots of uncertainty.
So the Israelis are, of course, afraid there will be not too much security for them. The Arabs are afraid to go over the Israel territory and that they come back to Syria or to Lebanon and somebody asks them, where did you go? You were in Israel. And the Spanish guys are just afraid that something will happen.
I play in this part, Beethoven, 5th Symphony. I don't want to Ramallah. A little bit. Yes. Ramallah is done Spain, is done German, is a difficult place.
יש ישראלים שלא נוסעים. אני מבינה אותם לחלוטין, אני מזדהה עם הפחד, אני מזדהה עם החשש, אני מבינה את ההורים שלא רוצים שהילדים שלהם ייסעו. זה מצב שבו כל מה שצריך זה בן אדם אחד שלא מוצא חן בעיניו. וזה מאוד פשוט לבצע דברים.
If I want to go, I have to feel very comfortable to go and come back as I didn't go. I mean, I don't want to have problems. Maybe.
By the end, everything was clear. It was, we are going there, we are doing this step finally. For everybody's sake, it was unfortunately, to split the group. The Israeli and the Spanish people go to Tel Aviv, and then to Ramallah, and the Arab people will be flying to Amman and then carried to Ramallah.
וזה מסובך. זה קשה לאנשים באופן אינדיבידואלי, גם בגלל התגובות של המשפחות וגם של החברה ובמקומות מסוימים של המשטר. אבל כולם עכשיו מחכים לזה, כולם מצפים לזה. ואני מקווה שכל יהיה בסדר. את יודעת, אני אאמין שזה קורה ברגע שכולם יהיו על המקום. אנא, תחלק עכשיו את הדרכונים הדיפלומטיים הספרדיים. אתם לא יכולים להיכנס, זה המצב שלי גם כן. אתם לא יכולים להיכנס לישראל עם דרכון ספרדי. אתם חייבים להיכנס עם הדרכונים הרגילים. את הדרכונים הדיפלומטיים אתם תקבלו עכשיו במטוס ותשתמשו בהם ביום ראשון במחסומים.
It was one of the things that made everybody relaxed because if any unexpected situation will be there, it means that we are directly under protection of the Spanish government.
רציתי להגיד לכם שעכשיו, מהרגע הזה, יש לכל אחד מאיתנו אחריות קולקטיבית. שזה באמת, עכשיו זה כבר מאוחר, אבל זה באמת ההזדמנות האחרונה לא לבוא. שכל הפתעה לא נעימה, שמישהו פתאום מקבל פחד, מחר, זה יכול להזיק באופן ענקי לפרויקט חשוב מאוד. אז אני מבקש שתחשבו את זה באמת עוד פעם, ואני מבטיח לכם, אני לא יכעס, זה יכול להיות יום חשוב מאוד בשביל כל העתיד של הפרויקט הזה, ושל כל מיני דברים אחרים שאנחנו לא יכולים היום בכלל לחלום עליהם. הרי אם היינו אומרים שאדוארד היה פה לפני 3 שנים, אני רוצה לנגן ברמאללה.
We only got the Europeans to Ramallah that night. So the Israelis went home until it's been decided, agreed with their family that they participate in the concert. So the day that they come is the same day of the concert in the morning. They will not spend any night in Ramallah.
As for us, the Arab members, we went through Amman to Amman, and then we were carried through the borders. It's the first time that we passed through a military Israeli checkpoint, and I mean, for us as Lebanese or Syrians, or I think for everybody in the Arab world, the Israeli army has a different meaning. So it was a big moment of anxiety, big question marks in our heads.
هاي أول مرة بيجيكم مجموعة من العالم العربي هيك. شايفة؟ إحنا مبسوطين فيهم. عادة عن الأردن والفلسطينية اللي بالخارج. ومن كتر ما إحنا ملتخمين مش عارفين كيف نفرح.
ما بعرف شو يعني، إنه هيك كثير غريب. ما حدا كان متخيل مثلا إنه نقدر نجي لهون، جينا.
ما فيني أوصفه. لا يمكن وصفه بأي كلمة.
هيك في دير أو هيك شيء؟
بس فيني أقول لك أنا سعيد جدا. حاسس بشعور الريادة إني أنا هون بفلسطين.
يعني مبسوط إن دي أول مرة أجي، والأراضي المقدسة كان نفسي أروح القدس أصلي هناك، بس طبعا ما فيش فرصة دلوقتي. إن شاء الله بعدين إن شاء الله ربنا يسهل.
we were really excited about that we already crossed the borders. But the thing is that we couldn't really fully enjoy it because it wasn't about crossing the borders. It was still about the next day, the concert, and about reuniting the orchestra. It was so great.
Welcome. Hi, how are you doing? Welcome. Can you imagine we're here?
Yes. They can't imagine themselves here.
It's like
you are wonderful people, really very courageous and
Hi, it's a very
tenacious. Wonderful.
Everybody's
I'm very
here
happy.
now.
I was happy to be able to show them Ramallah and tell them, well, they don't know how we live as Palestinians. The Israelis don't know how we live. And the Arabs, like Syria, people from Syria. It was nice to see how other people think of how we live.
The nicest experience is actually to be able to enjoy life in this place where there are very horrible circumstances. This is really what is very surprising for me, and I am very touched by it.
Even us, the groups of the orchestra, we were kept in dark about the exact timing of arrival of the Israeli group for security reasons. The first moment we understood that it might be this time is that when it was announced that the next morning we have a rehearsal at 10.
It's been arranged with the German and Spanish and the French consulate to provide us with 12 diplomatic cars to collect all the Israelis from Jerusalem. There was a meeting point there. And they'll come directly to the cultural palace where they spend the whole day there. They are not allowed to leave the cultural palace.
Very good, very good. You see, the impossible is much easier than the difficult.
I feel great. I feel the dream of Edward Said is coming true. What we do is really paving the road for the future and ending a terrible past.
Hi. Nice to see you.
We were waiting for the beginning of the rehearsal, and then one by one the Israeli group were coming on stage, also dressed and also ready to play with their instruments. All the anxiety and all the stress all the thoughts that we were thinking through the past 3-4 days, now that they are here, it's done.
אני עדיין לא קולטת, פשוט קשה, לא קולטת פשוט, זה לגמרי הזוי לחלוטין. כל כך פשוט, זה מגוחך עד כמה זה היה פשוט להיכנס ובאיזה לחץ היינו ובעצם כמה זה היה טיפשי. אבל כיף לא נורמלי. זה מפחיד, זה מרגש, זה לא מה שציפיתי וכן מה שציפיתי, זה הרבה מאוד דברים. אני חושבת שהמוזיקה זה הדרך הכי טובה להגיד את זה, בעיניי. לפחות לנסות.
Good morning to everybody. I think I should clap for you. I want to thank you all, from wherever you came, for your wonderful determination, for your courage, for your hard work, and for your creativity. For some of you, it was like an impossible, for all of us maybe, at one point it was like an impossible mission that this will ever happen. It sounded maybe like crazy, but I was telling Daniel, look, how do you feel? I feel this is like a dream is coming true. I want to thank you for trusting us, for having confidence in Daniel and in us. This means a lot to us. I hope tonight it will be a very successful evening, and I am sure you will all depart with a very strong impression that Ramallah is not only a beautiful city, but also it is a very welcoming city. Thank you so much.
This project that Edward Said and I founded in 1999 has been sometimes described in a very flattering way for us as an orchestra for peace, an orchestra that will bring this and that other feeling. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. This is not going to bring peace. You know that. The fact that these wonderful people play together here will not bring peace. What it can bring is understanding, the patience, the courage, and the curiosity to listen to the narrative of the other. We come to you here today with a message of humanity, not with a political message, with a message of humanity, a message of solidarity for the freedom that Palestine needs and for the freedom that the whole region needs. It is our belief that there is no military solution to this conflict. It is our belief that the destinies of these two people, of the Palestinian people and the Israeli people, are inextricably linked, and that it is our duty, all of us, to find a way to live together, because either we all kill each other or we learn to share what there is to share. It is with this message that we have come to you today.
I'm really proud and happy to be doing something, at least from my own belief of the necessity of doing this thing, to bring music, to bring a message of peace, to bring a moment where everybody is not scared of the situation, actually hating it and willing to do something against it.
I don't know, it's things are getting worse, politically, are getting worse. And yeah, I mean, now they are bad. I hope they don't get even worse and worse. It's the workshops, this divan workshop, which helps even more than the music itself. But what can I say? Let's hope for, I don't know, something, a miracle to happen, so that this will slowly end.
Thank you.
כל הכבוד. Thank you, Maestro.
Do I still get my passport or not?
You will get 2 passports.
It's the best I could do.
Thank you. You did wonderful.
Unfortunately, the Israeli group had to leave immediately after the concert. They didn't even barely have time to change. I mean, they went in their concert dresses. We barely had time to say goodbye, and they had to be rushed into the cars with police surrounding the place with armed men. But it was agreed this way because it's safer, it's better for the security.
You did a wonderful job.
He's at the police station. We thank you for coming, and he's very appreciate you all here.
We have to thank all of you for making it possible.
I hope you felt the warmth of the people. It's wonderful.
היה נפלא. היה מצוין. יוצא מן הכלל. אחד הקונצרטים הטובים. באמת. מרגש מאוד.
מאוד. לבוא ולנגן פה ולחוות דבר כזה זה מדהים. היסטוריה קטנה, באמת. צריך לזכור את זה כל הזמן. נקווה שזה לא הפעם האחרונה. תודה. יאללה.
היה מרגש. קשה לעצור את הדמעות. גם קונצרט אחרון, אחרי תקופה כל כך ארוכה, גם ברמאללה. כל הרגשות האפשריים צפים עכשיו. מדהים. אין לי מילים.
Siad!
יותר מדי הרגשות. נורא קשה אחרי חודש וחצי לעזוב את כולם, וכשמסיימים את היצירה האחרונה זה פשוט, זה כואב. אבל יש הרבה אושר שעשינו משהו טוב. הייתם נפלאים. תודה.
It was a big moment of mixed feelings, happiness, farewell, sadness, another reminder of the situation that we are in, that it's not just a normal concert, it is a very, very special historical moment.